Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington. I'm joined by regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Andy. And also, we are joined by a very, very special guest. Stuart Mulrain is the host of the And Why Not podcast, where each episode he is joined by a guest to talk about a movie that they love. Hello, and welcome to the show, Stu.
Hello, how are you?
Hello there.
Yeah,
welcome.
thanks.
Hello. I didn't mean to go a bit Obi-Wan there, but welcome to Horror Hangout. Glad to have you, a first timer.
Yes, thank you for the invite.
No problem
It's been
at all.
good. It's long overdue. I came and joined you on And Why Not last year. I lived in Scotland already,
Town
right?
Called Panic. Yeah,
that was a good one.
yeah.
I've been enjoying your episode since.
What did you guys talk about?
A Town Called Panic, which have you ever seen it, Ben?
I don't think so, no.
It is, the Cravendale adverts that there were about 10 years or so ago with little stop motion figures. It's like by a Belgian film studio. It's a whole film that's very funny.
No, you do say about it. I do kind of recognise that. No Cravendale involved?
No Cravendale involved. Mostly just lots of bricks.
Yeah.
It's a very good movie. And then and then I was passing on when Stu and team did their movies of the year. I made my film recommendation over there. The Some Like It Fresh. A lovely bit of French cinema, showing a bit of class there.
Yeah, what a classy man. And you're looking classy today, Andy, may I say, in your lovely chunky knit.
Yeah, it's gone cold again. We've had a week of mild weather, so
we've had a week of mild weather. Of course. What can you tell us about the And Why Not podcast, then, Stu? What would be to expected for a listener every week? Is it every week?
No, it's every other week, and then we take breaks every so often because I just haven't got time.
Life's hard.
Once it feels like a job, it stops being fun.
Podcasting is exhausting.
It's not the podcasting; it's the editing bit that's.
Yeah.
That's why we don't do that.
But
that's why
I made the mistake of starting to cut clips in, and then once you've gone down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I can only imagine.
But basically, I get a guest on. They pick a film that they love, and then we talk about it. It's basically like two people talking in a pub. We tend to go off on tangents and jump all over the place with regard to the film. Some people are a bit more structured with how they want to talk about it. Some people are just like.
Is it always a film that they love?
It is always a film they love.
Okay.
Until
it might not be a film that you love.
Until recently, I've tended to like all the films, and then we did Star Wars Force Awakens, and we've got a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers one coming out soon as well.
Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Rangers or original recipe Power Rangers?
Ivan
the 1995 Power Rangers movie.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Absolute classic, right?
So that was the first time I'd seen that.
Was it? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I was slightly too old when it came out.
Yeah.
The first time Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, speaking of tangents, first time that I, as a slightly older kid, was responsible for someone younger to me going to the cinema. I took my sister, just the two of us, to see Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. What a time. And then she did manage to drop an entire drink on the floor. Bless her.
Oh, I was well into Power Rangers. It was right in my wheelhouse. It was that time, and when that movie came out, yeah. When you watch it back, the CGI on like the animal robots and that at the end is a bit dodgy.
Yeah, they should have done what they did in the TV series.
Change it for men in suits in a cardboard city.
It would have aged better.
Yeah, and let's not forget, as much as the Power Rangers themselves, they think. It's Bulk and Skull that minimise any civilian casualties in that film.
Yeah.
Always overlooked. And I've said it before and I'll say it again.
What did they do? Did they stop everybody jumping?
They stop everyone committing suicide that Ivan Ooze is going to force them to leap to their doom. But I still refuse to believe to this day that the two alternative kids were the bullies in that scenario, picking on a larger group of athletic, popular children.
Yeah, that is strange. That is bizarre. Also, they've always got like a lunch bag which acts like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, just never ending volume, just the things coming out.
Yeah.
What's going on? We've got a baguette in here. I love that joke. That is a visual gag that will never get old.
Not only comedy heroes, but Bulk and Skull, I think, done dirty by history.
Done dirty
They
by
got
Mum and Dad.
redemption in the series.
Did they?
I believe, yeah. I mean, they never became Power Rangers, but
oh, that's a shame.
There's still time.
That is a shame. So yeah, I guess we're talking about another film today from the past that we know and love. I'm just assuming you love Power Rangers now, Stu. Sorry. What is your relationship with the Tremors franchise?
This was like the original Tremors, like a mainstay on Saturday night on BBC One. It was one that, like, one of the few horror films my dad had let me sit down and watch. I mean, it's borderline horror, to be fair, but
yeah,
I think because we had a shared love of the film Footloose, it was like, you can watch this Kevin Bacon film, and then we just, every time it was on a Saturday, we used to sit down and watch it, and just loved it.
So no matter what film Kevin Bacon would have been in, your dad would have allowed you to watch it.
Pretty much,
because, yeah.
Your dad's like, years later, a Holloman had come out. I guess obviously then you were older as well. So
see, I'd left home by then, so
you didn't have to ask his permission.
I could go to the cinema and watch that one by myself.
Yeah, Tremors, I think for people of a certain age, I think, so you'd probably be included in this as well. How much furniture were you in trouble for jumping all over? Because that was the game. You play a bit of Tremors in the house.
Yeah, it was the 90s equivalent of The Floor is Lava, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I mentioned that before. I think even on the choice reviews I've got to read out a little bit in a while, we mentioned that it's The Floor is Lava. But yeah, genuinely quite terrifying, as well, like as a concept, I think.
Yeah.
And we've also discussed on the official Wikipedia page, there is like a cross-section illustration of what one of the graboids looked like. Jesus Christ. Absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely grade A creature design as well, though, because I feel like it's well enough done. Obviously, it's a fictional monster, but it's well thought out enough that, yeah, you know what, this is great. And like looking at the practical effects and the models that they used in this movie for a movie that is from 1990, which, much as it pains me to say, everybody, it's freaking ages ago now. That's a long time ago. It's great. It looks really good still.
About 60 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, don't even look.
It's about 10 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. The 1990s is permanently 10 years ago, and then there'll be a tweet that's like, "Do you know that Cleopatra actually lived closer to now than 1990?"
Yeah.
It's like whenever people are like, it's a film came out about 30 years ago. I'm like, what? It was a 60s movie?
Yeah.
My brain will not go beyond the 90s.
Oh, Singing in the Rain. That's an old movie. Anything newer than that?
I hate it when the tweets come out and they say like, now we are as close to 1980 now as like in the 80s was the 40s, and that is what is really quite terrifying.
Yeah.
Deeply upsetting.
Turn to dust overnight. But yeah, Tremors, I've always just thought of it as land jewels, and I think that's kind of my relationship with it as well. Because I really like Jules, and I did enjoy Tremors, and I think mainstay of like Saturday night TV in the UK on BBC One. I think you're correct.
Yeah, it is like the ultimate Saturday night movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's just like one of those monster movies with absolutely no fluff, no fat. It kind of just goes, right, here are the monsters. Here's what you got to do to survive. And then let's just play it out. And obviously a great cast as well. But obviously we will get further into the film when we start our review. First of all, though, any other business, Andy, before I go into horror news?
No, you go for some horror news, Ben.
Okay, so we got a couple of bits of horror news for this week, including critics are apparently raving about a new movie called The Outwaters. They're calling it the new Blair Witch Project. We've had loads of new Blair Witch projects in the last 20 years, haven't we? But yeah, I've been hearing some good things about this. Have you guys heard about The Outwaters at all?
I haven't, no.
I'm raving about it too, Ben. I'm raving about it.
Go on, rave about it. Go on, then.
I can rave about it. Sounds incredibly exciting. Love to fucking see it if they give us a UK release date.
That is one of those things, isn't it? It's like
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to be excited about it. What they're doing.
I've heard loads of things. It takes one of the most shocking tonal U-turns in cinema.
I shall look forward to that being spoiled to me inevitably on Twitter before I have a chance to legitimately watch it. Thanks, business people. There's the real villain in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously it seems to be like a low budget thing. Apparently there's some, says like something H.P. Lovecraft may have dreamed up. Someone expecting some mad monsters, tentacled beasts and things, maybe. But yeah, I've heard positive things about this, and it would be good to see it. But is the reason we're not getting it in the UK just because it's a sort of independent movie and it's got
it's probably got a completely legitimate reason that distribution's hard and people have contracts to sign and all these things. But I'm Veruca Salt in this, Ben. I don't care how. I want it now. That's all I'm gonna end up falling down a pit into a furnace like that little girl did in that film.
Andy Conduit-Turner has spoken.
Fed up of waiting. Yeah, come on. We're suffering the same. I think there are some limited screenings and some press screenings of Infinity Pool in the UK this week, I think. But the actual release, I think, is end of next month. Come on.
Yeah.
In this day and age.
Till March, and
in this day and age, Ben, come on.
When everything is immediate and everything is so easy to pick up, and what film do you want to watch? Oh, let's just find out one of the many streaming services we pay for. When things aren't available, it can be frustrating.
Yeah, it's an odd one, and it feels like it's been worse for UK distribution over the last 12 months or so. Obviously, like a broken record, Ben. I said it not too long ago. We had it with Hellraiser last year. We had it with a number of things last year. Now mine's gone blank on examples.
Pearl.
More and more. Pearl, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is frustrating, especially when you're doing a horror podcast, and you want to be
in an online world as well, where if something has an impact, you're never going to have that same impact after you've seen loads of people react to it, either one way or another. Either it's spoiled or your expectations are irreversibly influenced by everyone talking about it beforehand, right?
I probably should have given you a synopsis as well. I kind of just said it was 4 travelers encounter menacing phenomena while camping in a remote stretch of desert. First of all, do you want to be camping in the desert? I feel like that'd be absolutely horrific when the sun comes up in the morning. You're literally going to cook in your free berth.
I've been in fairly temperate Spain, and as soon as the sun comes up, it's too hot to be in a tent. Don't want it in the desert.
That'd be horrific. Yeah. I wonder what kind of phenomena it could be that they experience. Just high temperatures?
Underwater worms? Underground worms, rather?
Underground
worms. Oh my God. Can you imagine if the Outwaters was somehow a Tremors remake? A found footage Tremors reboot in disguise. I'd love that. I'll be all over that.
You see now, Ben, again, we talked about expectations being set. I'm not sure whatever Outwaters is going to meet that now.
No, that's it. So just forget we ever said that. Apologies. What other bits of news? Another film called Unseen, which, if it isn't distributed in the UK, will remain unseen. Will remain unseen. A Blumhouse horror movie releasing in March, apparently. And they've shared a synopsis and a poster. 2 women form an unlikely connection when a depressed gas station clerk, Sam, receives a call from Emily, a nearly blind woman who is running from a murderous ex in the woods. There's a lot to unpack in that synopsis. Yeah. Is she blind?
Nearly.
What, and you're a gas station clerk? Yeah, but I'm depressed. Right. Somebody write this down, because this is absolute gold.
It's a tale as old as time.
It's a tale as old as time. And apparently Emily must survive the ordeal with Sam being her eyes from afar using video call. Okay, I should have read that bit as well. That kind of gives it a bit more of a unique thing, I guess.
Oh, and that's why it's called Unseen, almost.
Unseen. I don't know about you. I'm absolutely terrible at receiving any direction for anything. So if someone says, "You just grab me that on the shelf," and I'm like, "What?" Just to the left a bit or over here. That's too far. I would be awful in that scenario.
Yeah, I find almost it would be it's more helpful if they didn't say anything and they just said, "Oh, can you grab me that?" Because when I'm trying to listen to instructions, my arm's like, "Right, they've said left. I'll do that." I'm not using my eyes anymore.
I think I may have told you this before, and apologies if I'm repeating myself. But also taking directions while driving, I'm pretty bad at. Mainly because my partner Charlie will, rather than going next left, she'll point out. No. Worse than that. She'll point out the most minuscule detail of something and say, "Oh yeah, it's just left here by that sign," which is it's like this 2 inch by 2 inch sign in neon up there. I got to look for that as well now. Why can't you say next left?
Take the left at the road that bird's just flown over.
Yeah. It's exactly that. You see that caterpillar? It's just on top of the brickwork over there. What? Yeah, just there. Turn left there. It's fine. Stressful, ever so stressful. But yeah, that's maybe a little bit of an insight into my life and my shortcomings, unfortunately. Any more news, you ask? We've got something else. Let's have a look. So also, this is quite interesting. I was excited by this. Witches, the horror comic written by Scott Snyder, nearly said bloody Zach, didn't I? And illustrated by Jock, is finally ready to get an adaptation, and it's an Amazon animated series. I think this has been like in the process of getting made into something for ages. I think Amazon optioned it years ago, and I thought it was going to be like maybe a movie, maybe a TV show, but now it is a Amazon animated show, which is very interesting because I think it's got a very specific visual style. Yeah, super excited for that. It's horror. Obviously, there are witches in it. I guess there's not much else you can say. Not run of the mill witches, you wouldn't say, which is what's a run of the mill witch? Pointy hat,
cauldron,
green skin, big water in the end.
Yeah, classic grot bags.
Classic.
That's the horror reboot I want.
grot
bags horror.
Didn't grot bags recently pass away?
But yeah, rest in peace, grot bags. I mean, that isn't your real name.
Yes,
we don't know. Just like someone out there named Balkan Skull. Balkan Skull is not a nickname. Somebody also named grot bags.
Normative determinism, right all over. You grow up as a little kid called grot bags, you're going to end up being a green witch.
I don't want to be. I want to be something else.
I want to be a dentist. Nah, witch, I'm afraid.
I want to be a plumber. No, just wear this little pointy hat. Get on with it. That's pretty much it for horror news. All sort of brand new properties coming out, which is exciting as always. Love brand new horror content. Anything else horror news wise you've seen, Andy?
No, not for me, Ben.
Nah, not a damn thing. I guess what we'll talk about next is what we've been watching. This is the part of the show, Stu, where we just kind of chat about the last 7 days, what we've been watching. Doesn't always have to be horror. It can be horror adjacent or anything in particular you think is relevant to that.
But as it's your first time, don't feel limited to the last week. Horror movies that you've watched for the last several years of your life is fine.
Horror movies that you've seen in your whole life. Just list them all, right?
I was going to say, because horror's not normally my go-to. My most recent 7 days has been rewatching the classic James Bond films, which has got some moments of horror in it, particularly with like Jaws coming out of the pyramids. And
the world is at stake as well, to be honest. The horror of espionage and global events.
To be fair, by the time you get to A View to a Kill, you've got old man Roger Moore sucking the life force out of young women. So,
oh, Jesus Christ!
And when he's not sucking the life force out of them,
metaphorically,
there's a big overhand punch. The best way to knock anyone out is when you do the double fist to the back.
He does this weird thing when he's kissing Bond girls. It's just like he's like sucking the life force out.
Jesus. Gee, I was about to say
once you spot it, you can't.
I was about to say that's why he's still alive today, but he's not.
But he's not.
No. That's because he had to stop kissing much younger
women. He had to stop kissing
apparently.
Bond girls. So isn't there like loads of what's the misogyny like in the early Bond movies as well?
It's not great, to be fair.
Rampant.
I'm pretty sure there's an early Sean Connery one which goes, "Oh, crumbs, you're hurting my arm." He goes, "I'll break it in a minute." Cheers, James.
That's a Roger Moore one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
Man with the Golden Gun. Sean Connery just forced himself on women a lot.
Oh, Jesus. Isn't that I've definitely seen a clip of a Sean Connery one where actually it might be Roger Moore, where he pretty much says, "Please, the adults are talking," and he slaps her on the bum.
Yeah.
It's
Goldfinger.
Is that Goldfinger?
Yeah.
And that's where I remember that moment. But yeah. Wow.
They're not the best for treatment of female characters, but
are you going to go through and watch all of the Bond films?
I've done up to the Daltons, and then I'm taking a break, and then I'll hit the Brosnans and the Craigs.
What was the Daltons just 80s?
Yeah, 87 and 89.
Oh, okay.
I quite like the Dalton ones.
I love the Daltons; they're my favourites.
Yeah, he's the most murdery, I would say, of all the Bonds.
It's just the most like, I hate this fucking job. I'm just going to kill people.
I'm fed up.
Do you like the Daniel Craig era there?
I liked some of it. It got a bit samey after a while. The beauty of like Connery and Moore as they sort of evolved. Even Brosnan it evolved into batshit crazy, but The Craig ones sort of seem to stay quite stoic, and they're entertaining. They're just not my go-to ones if I'm going to do a rewatch or just randomly pick one out to watch.
I did enjoy the Pierce Brosnan era. That was kind of like when I first started discovering Bond as well.
Yeah, same for me.
And in terms of horror moments, Famke Janssen with her squeezy legs in is that Goldeneye?
Goldeneye, yeah. When she's Xenia on the top.
That that kind of made me feel some stuff.
It's not a bad way to go, though, is it? No, I mean, if you've got to be murdered, I'll take that over a bowler hat being thrown at me.
Yeah, or having my eyes poked out by Batista.
Or Jaws biting me to death.
Dying by bowler hat is pretty much just humiliating, you know.
Yeah.
I'd just be embarrassed. Please don't read this out of my feed. Don't talk about how I died. Talk about everything I did leading up to it.
The coroner just can't get the hat out of your head, so you have to have an open coffin.
Why has he got a hat on? He loves hats. I never saw him in a hat ever. Well,
why is he wearing it on his neck?
It's fashion. It's fashion.
Kids are weird.
If the man with a golden gun shoots you, could you use the gold embedded in your body to offset the cost of the funeral?
I mean, you'd have to take it out, wouldn't you?
Interesting. No one's ever thought of that before.
So I want the change from that.
Especially now.
Yeah.
In this economy.
You'd probably do better if he shot you with Lego, to be fair. But
you can't invoke this Bond talk without asking, so put you on the spot. Who would you see as your new James Bond? This is when you reveal that it's been chosen and I haven't just been paying attention.
No, they haven't chosen one yet. I don't know. I mean, there's a few different people. It depends. I kind of think they want to go for somebody fairly unknown. I think that tends to be when it works best.
Isn't the most recent chat been about Aaron Taylor-Johnson?
Aaron Taylor-Johnson was one for a bit, and there's somebody else now.
Henry Cavill's been in the frame for a bit. I wish they'd done Idris Elba about 10 years ago.
Yeah, Idris Elba would have been. I think a lot of the names that get thrown around, with the exception of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, are all too old for it now. Craig hung in for so long that it aged a lot of them out. Michael Fassbender would have been great, but he's too old now.
Have either you two seen Bullet Train?
Yeah, I liked Bullet Train.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson has got a really interesting role in that, and I think it was the first when people mentioned him potentially being a new Bond. I did think of that film and his role in that, thinking it could be good. He kind of,
he'd be a good choice. I think there's a couple of people. It depends what they want to go with as well. I think they need to sway a bit more back to the Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore mold. I think they've done the serious Bond. They need to have a bit of fun with it again.
Yeah,
especially as the Mission Impossible films have been so much fun recently.
Bring back all of your old Brosnan era favourites like Diamond Face and all of his other mates.
Diamond Face,
little Frogman from.
What was Diamond Face's name? Was it like
Diamond Face?
Zhao.
Zhao. That's right.
Zhao.
I was a bit scared of Diamond Face. I was. What about Madonna doing a bit of not jousting. What's it called? Fencing.
Yeah.
Jousting having a completely different scenario.
That was kind of terrifying.
In a full suit of armor.
Yeah. Andy, have you seen anything in the last week? I know this has become your favorite part of the show.
I've just undone so much of my hard work then, because I've started acclaimed horror documentary on Shudder. I've started In Search of Darkness, and I did all of the first one. My progress on my watch list has been completely wiped out. Because I think I had a fairly good grasp of 80s horror. You know, I'd seen your Motel Hells and things like that, but even so, my watch list has just spiraled out of control and has grown exponentially, and I've still got 2 4+ hours of In Search of Darkness 2 and 3 to watch before I'm done. So I will have completed the 80s by the time I've added them all to my list and then watched them all. But just as its own thing, as a documentary. I know you've already seen it, Ben. Stu, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but
I haven't. No, I want to see it, but it's
it's good. It's really, really good.
Where's it available to watch now? Because I know you had to buy it.
It's on Shudder.
It's on Shudder.
It's on Shudder now, is it?
Yeah, but it's really good.
Shudder for that then. There's all 3 parts on there.
All 3 parts are on there now. All of them are like 4 hours plus, but all the people that you'd expect involved in it, loads of other talking heads who are just horror creators, horror fans, really earnest discussion. The only other thing I'm thinking about it as well is having heard some people talk about some of these movies that I've watched and probably enjoyed enough it's like when we talk about a movie here, I now feel I need to like go back, probably add a star or two to each of their ratings when now I've heard what they've gone through making them and what the inspirations were as well. Well, it's really, really good watch.
So did you say you've only seen part 1 so far?
I only seen part 1 and the first 20 minutes of part 2 so far.
Your watch list is going to be absolutely...
I know, it's going to be absolutely in ruins. Let me rattle through the others that I've seen. I saw Bates 2019. That's the same makers that have done Ennie's Men more recently, but I just missed seeing that. It was screening at DCA the other week and I couldn't make it. But so Mark Jenkin... Is it horror? Is it horror adjacent? Is it the horror of decline and seasonal economies in rural communities? But it's got a pressure cooker element to it. It's quite funny in some parts as well. But Bait was good. I enjoyed it. I'll say no more about it. Then I saw Cooties, a 2014 Elijah Wood number where kids get cooties. They're horrible zombies. It's a comedy one. Some of it, like, it's in that era of... It isn't that long ago, but like quite fringe, edgy comedy in 2014 might make you think a bit in 2023. But but yeah, it's largely good. It's entertaining. It's got some good gore effects. I enjoyed that. I saw The Stylist on Shudder. Really good, actually. So as the name would suggest, it's about a stylist, but she does a killing. And it's not like a slasher movie. Your main character is very much the titular stylist. So she is the villain of the piece, but she's also your main character that you're following, and it's about the obsessions that she has that cause her to do these killings. And her gimmick, no huge spoilers, it's from the very first few moments of the film, is that when she has a victim, she scalps them and then wears their hair in a private moment to be like she's them and she's taking on their bits of their life that she wants to see. And then she has this relationship and there's someone who she really likes and she wants to help and she is preparing her hair for her wedding. It's good. I enjoyed it a lot. I shan't spoil it. It's good. 2 more episodes of old GDT's Cabinet of Curiosities. I've got through The Autopsy and The Outside. Both great episodes. Have you both caught all of Cabinet of Curiosities?
I haven't yet. It's on my watch list.
Unfortunately not.
It's both of them really good. It's got stronger and stronger, I think. So The Autopsy is a slightly sci-fi angle one. It's about an autopsy of some bodies that are there, and there are some strange creatures reanimating the bodies. I really liked it. I think my review was like nothing better than when a plan comes together in a movie, except when one plan coming together makes another plan that someone was very sure of falling apart. Great, really neatly done. And The Outside is another one about this like beauty cream. I think this is the one that a lot of people are talking about from a body horror perspective. It's hard to watch on occasions, but it's good. I really liked it. And then finishing off, we'll talk about Tremors, but this is, I was saying to Stu just before we started, this just started a recap of the series for me, and I've also already watched Tremors 2, which I feel I'd already had the opinion of. I saw it once many years ago, and I think I'd thought, oh, it's the never as good sequel to Tremors. It's actually not that bad. It doesn't have Kevin Bacon, but does have Fred Ward in it. It's got old
Michael Gross is back.
Michael Gross is back in it as well as Bert, the gun maniac. It's great. It's really it's still really good, and it's a lot of fun. It's tonally still quite similar to the original Tremors, and it has some nice callbacks as well.
Yeah, I think Tremors 2 suffered from going straight to video and then largely mostly appearing on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes.
Which, as great as the Sci-Fi Channel was, it also, like, Sci-Fi Channel movies were questionable. And it kind of, you were like, it's a Sci-Fi Channel movie, is it? I don't think I'll risk it.
Yeah. How many Tremors movies are there in total?
7.
Yeah, 7.
7 and a TV series.
Oh, wow. I was going to say,
and they had Kevin Bacon pilot.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was reading about the Kevin Bacon pilot. So is that available to watch anywhere, or is it just behind closed doors?
It was shelved. And because, again, I think if they put it out on like disc, people would buy it. Trevor's fans would buy it.
Yeah.
But I guess it's, like, either back or tax reasons or...
there seem to be a lot of Tremors fans out there, just from the few tweets that we've kind of been putting out over the last few days. A lot of people have been interacting with them.
Yeah.
Seems like, quite a fan base that are quite passionate about the movies and more movies and the future of the franchise as well.
There's a really good book on Tremors by Jonathan Melville called Seeking Perfection. Can't see it because my background.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
That looks a great cover
it's
as
really
well.
good. He interviewed, I think, pretty much everybody but Fred Ward. I think he was the only one he couldn't speak to.
Oh, wow. So quite a definitive sort of...
But yeah, and it goes through all of the series up to whatever film was out at that point.
That's a good amount to pick that up. Because, I think there's a lot to look through this one, like practical effects alone. But before we get on to Tremors, I guess, anything else that you've seen, Ben? Just to wrap up what we've been watching?
I thought... So I've seen 2 more episodes of The Last of Us, and I've seen up to episode 5. Anybody else watching? I know you are, Andy. You watching that, Stu?
One behind.
I'm not. I don't really like stuff involving kids, so a guy at work who knew was like, I'd leave it if I was you. So I'll probably get to it eventually, but
yeah. Totally understandable. Andy, so are you up to date up to episode 5?
I'm 1 behind. I'll catch up this week.
I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out into the world so we can say it. I think a bonus episode covering the whole series once we're done is definitely something we're gonna have to do.
You've said it now.
I've said it now. Got a lot to say about it, and also, I think it's worth it because from what I've seen so far up to episode 5, as a fan of the games, it's quite amazing, like how many sort of set pieces directly from the games it recreates, but it still has its own identity as a TV show. It's not like, oh, we're just watching the game, but in a different format. It really does have its own identity. So I'm really, really pleased with where it's going so far. And tragic, heart-wrenching, action-packed, and the horror is done really, really well, especially in the episode 5 that's just happened. The horror and the reveal of a certain moment as well is great. So highly recommend it. The only other things I've seen this week are Scare Package 1 and 2. So Scare Package and Scare Package 2, Rad Chad's Revenge. I enjoyed so it's horror comedy anthology. I know we've discussed it before in this show. I know you've seen it, Andy. But yeah, I think it's a great concept. I think there's some genuine laughs in both of the films. Some of the sections are like really, really good, and it's kind of like I'd love to see a feature length of this. Other ones maybe a little bit more forgettable. I kind of there's a killer at the end of the first Scare Package. I was like, who is this guy? Because I kind of recognize his frame and demeanor and everything. It's Dustin Rhodes, aka Gold Dust from WWE. He plays like a serial killer in it, and I'm just like, that's really cool. And of course, he comes back for. So Rad Chad's Revenge goes a bit more, I guess, what would you say? All the homages to classic horror movies are more front and center. Like
it's more front and center. I think the comedy's more over as well. It's not quite scary movie territory where it's like pop culture references, but it's not too many steps behind it, right?
Yeah. I think I preferred the first one. I think the wraparound story in the second wasn't as good, but still, I think it's enjoyable enough, especially with all the different ideas they're putting forward as well. So yeah, again, those films are both on Shudder, so you can watch both of those. If that sounds up your street. The only other film I saw this week was Four Lions, which I watched yesterday because I thought it's been a few years since I've seen that. The Chris Morris comedy satirical movie. This film is so ridiculous, but so funny. Like I was rewinding bits just to make sure I'd heard certain lines properly. I've always kind of thought of it up there as like one of my favorite British comedies, but after a rewatch, it's definitely cemented it as like probably in my top 5 British comedy films. Are you guys fans?
I saw it years ago. I've owned it. It's never one I've really gone back to, but I occasionally see clips of it like show up, people share them and that. Yeah, it's a great movie.
A clip, that's exactly what happened to me. A clip popped up on one of the social media platforms. I was like, I really need to rewatch that because I think I'd only ever seen it once before. I think, if you hadn't seen it for years, Stu, I'd go back and watch it because it is great. Like as a satirical thing, and like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, can they make a comedy film about that? Yes, 100%. It's not like it touches on so many different territories, but in such a way where it's like it's impossible not to just like belly laugh at it.
Yeah.
Andy, have you seen it?
No, you know what? It's one of those that I always meant to see, then I just never did. So I'll have to catch up.
Yeah. I've not seen The Day Shall Come, the other Chris Morris feature length. So I probably really do need to go and check that out, the one from 2019. So yeah, that's next on the list, I think. But that's pretty much it that I've seen this week, apart from
or watch the Tremors.
we've had ourselves a little bit of Tremors. So Tremors is a 1990 American monster comedy horror film directed by Ron Underwood. Stars. That was incredibly Bristolian, sorry. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Finn Carter, Michael Gross, and is it Reba McEntire? Reba, apologies. Natives of a small isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures which are killing them one by one. It's got 7.1 on IMDb. It's got on Rotten Tomatoes 88% critic score, 75% audience score. That is incredible. That's incredible, really. That's really, really high. 3.5 on Letterboxd. A couple of choice reviews from Letterboxd. We've got Jamel Bowie gives it 3 stars, and she says it's the Citizen Kane of redneck cinema. Interesting. Slig 001, absolutely pitch perfect monster movie. Tremors sets out its stall early, sets the rules and introduces the main characters, and then just gets on with things. 5 stars. And then Thomas says an intense game of The Floor is Lava, as we've already mentioned. Tremors is an incredibly fun, charming, and delightful B-movie creature horror comedy. 4 stars. There we go then. It seems like, well, based on those scores it's got across the board on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, people do love this film, and as I've already mentioned, the fandom as well. Do you think that's well deserved?
I do, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's a 5-star masterpiece.
There we go.
I really enjoy this as well. Like, I'm not sure what I don't think you could go into this movie and not enjoy it unless you were massively misunderstanding what it was about. Like, do the bad reviews go, oh, it wasn't very serious? He pretends there's a stampede. That's not on. Stampedes are serious. Like, what's the like? You know, like, I don't know how you could take it in its intended tone and not think that it isn't just a lot of fun. It's a great movie.
It's one of those movies that if you catch, it used to show on like ITV4 on a regular basis, and you could catch it at any point and be like, "Oh, just watch this bit," and then before you know it, you've watched it to the end again.
Yeah, and
it's one of those movies.
It goes at such a clip as well. Like I was looking at the time last time I was watching this, it goes, "Hang on, there's only 20 minutes left," but the last 20 minutes are like so much movie is in those little sections.
It is, because it's siege upon siege upon siege. So they find a safe space, and the graboids figure out how to get to them. So they have to move on to another one. It's just a constant. That's the other great thing, is they're not dumb creatures. They're figuring shit out as well. So there is the constant threat of them.
Yeah.
And I really like the really nice, really good cast in this. Obviously, Kevin Bacon I was going to say an early role. I guess 1990's an early role for Kevin Bacon, but it's post Friday the 13th and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's about 10 years into his career, I think.
Yeah, so it's not early, but you know, as we've discussed, 90s is longer ago.
It is now. But
yeah. But
60
Fred
years
Ward,
ago.
Yeah, and like other characters as well, like lots of good character actors that you recognize from things. I mean, the true villain, of course, is bloody Melvin.
I was going to say, you got a whole film full of likable characters except for Melvin, because fuck Melvin.
Yeah.
I never wanted to see a child get eaten
Melvin.
more than I have Melvin.
Help me out with this. Is Nestor his dad? The guy that gets slept to retire?
Some weird thing. Melvin's parents are off somewhere.
So his parents aren't even in it.
I can't remember if it's explored in either
his expanded
like Wikipedia stuff, or he comes back in.
He's the baddie of the series,
in
right?
the TV series, yeah.
He's like a rich
develop the land.
Even his parents are sick of him. They're just like, right, we're going away for a while. Stay here, I guess.
They probably put the graboids in the city.
I was going to say,
go on.
They probably freed. That's the origin story I want to see. Is just Melvin's parents being like, "This will get rid of the fucker."
Yeah, literally the kid that immediately his job is to like just piss everyone off in the town. Like he is to rural America what Norman Price is to the the setting of Pontypandy in Wales. Fucking
it's
everyone
always his
off.
fault for some reason. It's always his fault. Bloody hell.
Norman the little arsonist.
What I quite like about this movie, so there's not really an origin, is there, in terms of like where these guys come from? Guys. Hey guys.
Certainly not in this one. I think, is it the fourth one that's in the past? Do we get an origin story?
The fourth one's in the West. Again, I don't know if I can't remember them doing an origin. I think they do leave that fairly vague.
I like that though. I really do like that. Like
I do. I think the more you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
most things.
They could have easily done like a 5-minute prologue where it's like, I don't know, toxic waste getting spilled, or I don't know, anything.
Big meteor.
But I think that kind of just takes away. We're right there with these characters, working out what the rules of the film are and what these creatures seem to want and how they operate, along with the characters. So I think it's really, really well done. What is it, like a 90-minute just over movie?
Yeah.
Kind of
super brisk 90 minutes.
It's really, really tightly done. I mean, even if you watch the credits, lovely bit of country and western over the end as well. You're right, Ben. I don't think you need an exact origin of the story. Take note, owner of the Aliens franchise. I don't need to know exactly what these monsters are. I think we learn enough about their biology and their characteristics from just in context in the film. Don't need Michael Fassbender to have made him with a goo.
That's it. I think they're like a prehistoric thing. The great thing about the third film is that they're a protected species by that point, so they can't kill them. So they sort of have to live with the graboids.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah. So there's the main graboid of the third film and the TV series is one called El Blanco.
Oh, okay.
Which is just such a great spin on it. It's like we got these things that will kill us, but we can't kill it back.
And which one is that in? Sorry, the first one?
That's the third one. Back to Perfection.
Back to Perfection. So Michael Gross is like the lead in that sense.
Yeah, he becomes like the center of the franchise.
Yeah, he's in most. He's in all of the ones.
He's in all of them. Yeah, he's in everything but the Kevin Bacon unaired pilot.
That's why it didn't get picked up, I'm guessing.
Possibly.
So El Blanco is like an albino graboid.
Yeah,
even rarer.
Wow. Terrifying. But yeah, this film is genuinely like joyous in places. Like when they were pole vaulting from boulder to boulder, like that is just amazing. That is
the score is perfect on that as well. They released the score a little while ago. La La Land Records did it, and I bought it purely for that piece of music. It's a great score anyway, but I was like, I need that bit of music.
Yeah,
it's just such a fun bit of.
Definitely, and that piece of music when they all like do it in tandem.
Yeah,
I was like,
a great little shot as well, right?
Amazing, loved it. But yeah, there's so much of that. I feel like throughout, and it just keeps getting. There's never like any real downtime, is there? It gets going really quickly, and as you mentioned, Stuart, just goes from siege to siege to siege, but kind of like adding new elements each time, where it's like, okay, actually, you know what, they can come through the floor now. Yeah, it's really, really good.
The bit where they're sussing out the buildings.
Yeah. They're going like under the
looking for the weak spots and all that.
Bloody graboids. So yeah, in terms of the cast, I know we've mentioned sort of everybody's in it. So the lead, I guess you've got 3 leads. Are we saying?
I mean,
or is it more of an ensemble?
It's more Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. I think they're the heart of the film, and then obviously you've got Finn. What was his name? Carter.
Finn Carter, yeah, that's right.
Finn Carter, as Rhonda,
grad student geology.
Which I love Kevin Bacon's list, and then his inability to hide his disappointment when she comes. The sun cream on her
nose and that. Yeah.
What's the name of the? Is it an actress that he kind of seems to base all of his?
It's one of his ex-girlfriends, wasn't it? I did write her name down.
Yeah.
I'll find it in a minute. I did write it down.
Yeah. One of his ex-girlfriends.
That he has like a picture of in
Tammy Lynn Baxter.
Tammy Lynn Baxter.
A proper redneck girlfriend's name. No offense to rednecks.
No offense to rednecks. So Kevin Bacon's Val, Fred Ward is Earl, and they're like these 2 handymen who sort of go around the town doing various tasks, taking out garbage, fixing was it like a sewage tank?
Yeah, and they're sick of it, right?
Emptying the septic tank.
Steps down.
It's when they're putting the barbed wire fence up, how Kevin Bacon hits the hammer, misses the nail every single time, and then knocks it in him on, and the way Fred Ward looks at it, just kind of like, yeah. There's wonderful little micro bits of comedy in this film.
Yeah.
Just even in the opening bit where, like, you see that, really organically done. You see the relationship. So Val wakes Earl up pretending there's a stampede, even though they're watching over like 3 cows that are standing completely calmly, just watching them. And then they have their first of many games of rock, scissors, paper, which is how they, make any of the decisions that they disagree on. And it's little bits like that builds their relationship up so nicely and will come into play for much of the film.
If you're establishing the rules of rock, paper, scissors, right? How do you feel their take on it? Well, mainly Val. If you lose, you get to decide. I lose. I guess I've got to do it. Yeah. No.
We play like Fred rules at our house where, because usually it's like, I'll end up getting lunch today, or sorry, I'll go and do the dishes because you're both trying to be nice. No, I'll do it. Then whoever wins gets to decide who's doing it.
It's the little thing about the lighter and the cigarettes as well. Like one's always got the other.
Yeah, it's not. It's very cleverly put together, and I'd say more so in films now. Chekhov's all over everything. He's got all these, and it's more noticeable in a lot of films now that you get. I think it's nicely, subtly done with that because you wouldn't notice necessarily the trade between the cigarettes and the lighter.
It all comes into play. I mean, it opens with Kevin Bacon peeing off the cliff edge, which comes into play later with how he does it. The stampede idea is I love that Fred Ward, when he gets woken up, crawls out on it still in his sleeping bag like a graboid.
Yeah.
And falls off the back of the truck.
I hadn't really thought about that.
I hadn't thought about that either, him pissing off the cliff, because I thought, is that worse than just pissing on the ground?
I mean, you're inviting blowback.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. And you're out in the desert there. You want pissy jeans. That'd be awful.
Pissy jeans. So yeah, I guess we could just dive into the plot from the start. So obviously we're introduced pretty quickly to Val and Earl as these handymen, as we've mentioned. So whereabouts are we? Nevada, isn't it? It's like
Nevada's like a little valley called Perfection.
Perfection, yeah. And I think we do hear from some of the locals as well. They do say that's the reason why they moved there, is because it's completely out of the way, secluded.
One road in and out of town. It's no freeway, and then Val and Earl, they're doing their handyman jobs, like I said, and they're pretty sick of it.
Yeah, the nearest town is Bixby, which gets mentioned obviously quite a lot.
It's the Yabby Creek of Perfection, Nevada.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, pretty quickly they discover the first of the mounting up dead bodies, and the first guy is Edgar Deems. And I think they drive past. Initially, they drive past and go, "That's a job I wouldn't want to do. Anything to do with electricity." And they go, "I'm going to recognize that jacket." And then they just think that he's like, obviously, I guess he's like the town drunk.
Yeah, he's just pissed up.
He's had a skinful and he's decided to climb an electrical tower. What, for a laugh? But yeah, initially try to get his attention, and then does Val just decide he's going to climb up there and see if he's?
They do rock paper scissors and he loses, so he has to climb up to get him down.
I feel like Val just changes the rules of how rock paper scissors works for his own benefit.
It's only when he wants to do the run for the thing instead of
at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, this film does a great job of setting up the graboids before you even see them.
Yeah,
with Edgar being up the thing and like, why didn't he get down, that sort of thing, and then like the bit with old Fred the farmer.
So they take the guy to the doctor, who says, "Oh yeah, died of thirst. That'd take 2-3 days, maybe even 4. I reckon it wouldn't take that long if you lived in a desert. Reckon a hard enough afternoon. Polish you off, at least enough to pass out and fall off an electrical tower." He's obviously had a good grip.
He had a good grip. Another interesting thing, I guess, with this film is that like it pretty much takes place all entirely in daylight. I know we get like one kill or 2 kills.
The doc and his wife.
at night time, but the rest of it just takes place during daylight hours, which
how good are batteries out there though? Because those car headlights stay on and the radio stays on.
Oh right,
that's impressive. If I leave my car lights on for like 5 minutes, the whole thing dies.
Not starting cells.
Wow.
That's obviously that built-in obsolescence we get nowadays. 90s cars built to last.
Yeah.
So obviously the doctor determines that he died of dehydration, and then I guess we're trying to work out that he was too afraid to come down. Does anyone even say too afraid of what?
They say like what kept him up there, and they said, "Oh, did someone chase him up there?" I said, "Well, what's someone that's not scared of a rifle that you had up there with him?" I said, "Oh yeah," and then what do? They just camp at the bottom and wait for him to just die.
Yeah, because they don't figure it out until they're trapped on the rock, do they?
No, so they're like, oh, okay, so it's kind of a mystery, and they don't know. I think they're still set to leave town at this point, but then we see old Fred. Just a classic.
They keep tempting fate, don't they? It's like nothing's going to get in our way now. Then they find Edgar up the thing, like And now this time, then they find old Fred, and the next time, like, well, can't be everybody else between here and there is dead.
Yeah, so they're gone. But so they go and see old Fred's the next one we see, right? So he's there. He's doing some hoeing in his dust farm. He's got some cows, and then all of a sudden, his sheep. His sheep are getting are getting slurped off. And then again, we don't see this happen on screen. We just see Val and Earl. They rock up. They see the mess. They call in looking for old Fred. And then this is one of the bits that I remember to this day, seeing this as a kid and thinking, watching this horror movie, and they find the hat in the little ring of loose earth, and they pick it up, and there's a man's face. Like,
it's the head in the boat in Jaws, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's the equivalent of that.
I love Kevin Bacon as Val's reactions each time, though, because they're just so real. Just like, oh fuck, what's going on? What the fuck is going on?
And then he's disgusted that he has like a hat that was over a dead body.
He's just reacting like we all would in this scenario. So all the sheep obviously got mulched up as well.
Yeah, they've all been absolutely gibbed up, and then they drive past some road workers. Cheeky little bit of like, I don't know when I ever read this. Must have been like an IMDb years ago. Little bit of trivia. One of the first people we see die on screen, not just cut away, is this road worker here who are doing two road workers that are doing the drilling. His name is Carmine, which is a shade of red, which apparently is something they chose as a nod to the old original Star Trek series, where someone in a red shirt would be one of the first people you see get killed when they go on a little adventure.
So what happens? He's kind of drilling, isn't he? And he hits the graboid.
Earl and Val drive by, and Earl's hanging out the window saying there's like a serial killer on the loose, cutting people's heads off. Like, I'm not joking. It's like he's winding us up. And he just carries on drilling.
Suspicious. Someone who was joking would claim they weren't joking. I don't believe it. Keep drilling, and then we get the really good Foley work on this. Like there's like a, and then like this, and then like this blood oozes out,
and then he gets dragged off. And this is good because it is a little bit of variation in the way that people are dying as well. So this guy obviously gets dragged off. We don't necessarily see what happens to him, do we? But
no, he just disappears. He goes up and disappears down in.
But his buddy runs after him, and then there's like loads of rocks fall from the top of the little hill there and just crush him. But again, I like that because there's some good variation in the kill as well.
Bit of variation, but like when you're looking at this, when the time comes for the film to end and they're burying their dead, that other man's family would be like, "Oh, must have been a memorable but notable death. He got killed by these monsters that no one's seen for hundreds of years." Oh no, not him. He actually just got bashed with some rocks. What?
He just got bashed with some rocks. Yeah, if you're gonna, it's disappointing, isn't it? Oh, he got killed by the graboids, did he? No, he's not.
Everyone else in this town, killed by the graboid. No, he did just get.
At least it wasn't pulled through a tire, though. I mean,
yeah, that's right. It wasn't.
That's got to be the weak ass way to go.
Yeah, although that making a poor choice, stupid Nesta.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, that's true. But he did get rocked. Everyone the Gates family would be like, were the graboids responsible for the rocks falling? We can't be sure. But
just can't be sure.
But that
we need to
rock
file an
slide,
insurance claim. So.
yeah. Unfortunately, the graboids, that would have been covered, but technically a rock slide would be an act of God. So, but the rock slide does also serve to now block the road, because that's happened as soon as Val and Elle have gone back. They go back to the store where everyone is hanging out. Oh, but they get that's later that they get, because they go back to the store, they talk about the murders and finding old Fred's head, and agree to leave town. I think Melvin fucks them off for the second time already. Like, he already was winding them up while they were playing with the sewage tank. He winds them up some more.
So when they're doing the sewage tank, they say to Melvin, you could come and help us, seeing as most of this shit is yours. Doesn't he say, like, go get me a 6-pack?
Yeah.
Give me the money, go get me a 6-pack. Melvin, I'm just gonna batter you, mate.
See, they don't just get covered in shit, they get covered in Melvin shit.
Oh man,
the fact when you see Melvin with his basketball, he's throwing it against the windscreen of a car as well. Like, you little fucking
Melvin.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, if I'd been Val or Earl when this accident happened with the septic tank and I got covered in shit, I would just go and grip onto Melvin as hard as I'd be putting my fingers in his mouth and everything.
Oh, Jesus.
I absolutely own that kid.
Oh yeah, laughing, are you? Well, what about this?
Yeah, so listen, Melvin.
Just put him in the septic tank, I think.
Go lie in his bed.
Yeah, literally just run all the way through his house. Like a distressed cat, run into his house, roll around everywhere. Yeah, I'd teach that kid a lesson about escalating things.
Shit, Melvin, literally.
Yeah, so they go back, find the road is blocked, but notable moment here, as they pull away, their car stalls. Just give it a bit more juice, doesn't it? And they get away. When they get back to the shop, horrible little snake monster on the axle.
Yeah. So it's obviously trying to grab the car. I guess
they sell to Chang for $15.
$15. Well, doesn't it start off as $5 and then they say 20 and then 15? Yeah.
I mean, inflation money, that's probably what, especially exchange rate these days, for about 200 quid now.
What's he gonna do with it? I know Melvin poses with it and they start taking photos.
Yeah, he starts charging people for photos with it, doesn't he? Because you've got Mindy's mother forcing Mindy to have a picture with it. Which is, if that girl didn't suffer enough, she has to go up against dinosaurs in Jurassic Park in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Did he make his money back pretty much immediately?
Yeah.
He did.
I think he made a profit, because I think that's why they were kicking themselves for selling it for only 15.
That's why he's the owner of a store in this town. He's got it down. He's got a good business model.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, he's not going to get much repeat custom, because once the dozen people that live in the town have all had their picture done with the snake, then many people are coming through.
In a different place, different backdrop. Mix it up.
Put like a little Santa hat on it at Christmas.
He's not even getting the right bullets in for Bert, so he's going to lose his custom if he's not careful.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because he doesn't just want hollow points; he wants hydro. Not like, and I was like, I'm lost.
Yeah. How do you order bullets into the local store? Is it like when you wanted a magazine and the newsagents when you were a kid and you went, "Excuse me, could I set up some sort of standard order for this?"
It's like going to Waterstones if you get an ISBN for your bullets.
Okay, that's
so it's the B in ISBN for bullets stands for bullets, not book.
Oh yeah, they do kind of make fun of Bert for being a bit of a conspiracy theorist and like, what do you call? Is it a prepper? You call
prepper, it? Yeah. Yeah, because that's his whole thing, isn't it? That all the things he prepped for, and he's like, underground goddamn monsters.
yeah. He's like, I've got a place of food for 2 weeks.
Years.
5 years worth of food, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, God, sorry.
Water, a bomb shelter.
Underground.
Goddamn monsters.
I thought they were 100% ready to be eaten as well. I did not think. I mean, I knew that Bert was in the other movie, so I probably did know. But I think for anyone who hadn't seen them, you'd think that the gun-toting conspiracy theorists were definitely going to get Graboid did.
I mean, the real life horrors. I mean, spoilers for the later series, and I don't know if they get back together. But as of Tremors 2, Bert and Heather have broken up. Ben,
you what? Is it because of the stress, the trauma?
They seem so happy
together. Shared trauma.
It's because they couldn't get Reba McEntire back for the second one.
Yeah. aside from that, the story reason they cite is that following the fall of the Soviet Union, Heather feels that Bert takes it too hard, that they're not under such an immediate threat of there being a world war. So, so they drift apart as a result.
That's the great thing about those two. They're in their element in this film.
Yeah.
The looks they give each other when they're like, we're like, in the middle of a smorgasbord of this thing. They're like, this is what we fucking lived our lives for.
When they turn to like the wall of guns.
See, I'm not a gun guy, but I do love that little rec room they've got. I'm not a gun guy at all, but it's like I'm not a tool guy either. But when you see somebody with their tools all nicely laid out on a wall, you're like,
I can see the appeal.
I appreciate organization.
Yeah. 100%. Also, I feel of all the people that could have loads of guns, big underground monsters aside, living in the desert and stuff, probably the best place for it.
Well, that's why they're out there, isn't it? So the government aren't checking up on them.
Yeah, they can have the little bunker there, but that all comes later. For now, they're doing the photos with the graboid. Is this when they go and find? Is this now when they go out and find Rhonda?
No. Bert and Heather are going to go off and find Rhonda, and Val and Earl are going to go to Bixby on horseback.
That's it.
And go past the Doc's place and let them know. Mm-hmm. And that's how they discover it. And then Rhonda finds them eventually in the desert, doesn't she?
Yeah, so we've seen, we've missed it, but it happened at some point. So the Doc, again, so many memorable scenes. I remember this scene from being a kid as well.
Yeah.
The Doc and his wife are they're in the middle of building a house. They're doing a self-build in the desert, right? They're just out camping out there, and then the generator gets slurped off but spat back out. The Doc disappears into the sand, and you have the bit where his wife's digging in the sand looking for him, and he's just gone.
This is such a well-written film that even characters that you spend minutes with, you kind of feel for them, and you kind of
you feel that death, and it's not done in a nasty way, but you genuinely feel for those characters. You know everything you need to know about him in that short scene. Like he's had a hard day building the house. It's like the breeze box are in, so they got to go pick those up. It's like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So close to finishing.
And the whole thing about look up at the stars, and that's pretty much the last thing she sees before she gets sucked underground.
And a good bit, right? Like
tragic,
terrifying. When the Doc's wife jumps into the car and she closes the door behind her, the little snake tongues like against the glass of the windscreen and so on.
When she realizes that he had the keys.
Yeah.
As well. It's just again lovely little bit of micro acting.
And you're right, you absolutely nailed it in that for such minor characters that we only know their name from incidental dialogue, and we've seen them before we have the scene where they die. They were in it for like a scene for less than a minute, maybe, when they met them and found out why that guy had dehydrated. It's really well done. I've seen films that have probably received a lot more critical attention that aren't this tightly done, and I don't care about these things.
Yeah, see, I'd argue they're the death you feel the most. Like I say, because they're building a house as well, they're building a life. And even though they're an older couple, you kind of like, they've got a life ahead of them, they've got this plan, and it just never happens.
Yeah.
And you feel it. It's like Chang as well, but Chang's a little bit.
Yeah. I remember feeling bad for poor old Chang. Isn't he also Grandpa from Three Ninjas?
Christ, that's a pull.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Victor Wong, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen Three Ninjas a lot.
So he's in Prince of Darkness, isn't he?
He is.
He's in Big Trouble as well, isn't he? In Little China.
He is.
Yeah, he's in Big Trouble.
The
Golden Child.
He's in Big Trouble, isn't he? Oh no, his old tweets have surfaced. Sorry, Victor.
Oh wow. Oh no, he died. He died in 2001.
Oh.
September the 12th, 2001.
Bloody hell.
One day later.
No wonder we didn't hear about it. It's slightly overshadowed by the news.
Whoa. Yeah, so they're going to Bixby on horseback. And that is when they discover the Doc and his wife's buried station wagon, which is
they hear the music still, right? And they dig up and they just see the headlights.
But But we don't see their bodies, do we? They've obviously just been slurped off into the...
Yeah, no, you just see the car. Which,
again,
the glass breaking as the sand pours into the car, that's just another element of, like, if they don't get you, you're going to suffocate underground.
Yeah.
You try so hard to suffocate as fast as you could, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Use all your air immediately so you don't have to get chomped on by graboids. Currently unnamed monster. No, they've just got a name.
Yeah.
So I think this is the first reveal of the big actual graboid, because obviously we've seen the worms, the individual worms, but it does turn out that they are just the tongues essentially of the graboid, aren't they?
Yeah, because up till now you've had this nice Jaws, Evil Dead kind of POV move above ground kind of thing. It's done really well. Like I say again, them setting them up is so well done in this film.
Yeah.
Love the sort of steady cam along the ground movement that they get, unless they did an Evil Dead method, like this from In Search of Darkness trademark. Like they did it on Evil Dead, like literally steady cams. They couldn't afford ones. They just had camera on a plank of wood, and two people just ran along with it.
Nice.
Or like in the little Bad Dolly scene from Trilogy of Terror, just putting a camera on a skateboard and just pushing it along after the actors.
I can't.
It's a great. It feels like this one probably is done with a steady cam. It's slightly higher off the ground than it is well made, and the film has a bit of budget behind it. But
it's later when it goes from above ground to underground through the dirt.
Really
such
good.
a great shot.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
But we see them come along, and this is where we see there's a big monster with the tongs attached to it. Val and Earl run away and
lose their guns.
And their horses.
Which I love that thing where they're like, I'll take the shotgun. So he's got the little. So then Heather gives him his better rifle. Kevin Bacon's face. Fuck.
Yeah, you want to take this. It's so good. The relationship between those two is great. But they're running, and they reach. Is this like a drainage ditch, or
it's like an aqueduct or something, isn't it? I'm not sure what it is or why they couldn't follow that. I don't know how far along it runs.
Yeah, but they tried to jump over it. They don't make it. But then
we do get a horse death scene as well. It's a bit never-ending story, right? In terms of the
one runs away and one,
one runs away, one gets got, and then the graboid basically pile drives itself into the concrete and it smashes through but not out, and kills itself basically by hitting this wall of concrete. Again,
the way that mucusy blood sort of starts pouring out of the hole.
Yeah.
I love that when Kevin Bacon digs it out, he's got that tiny little shovel.
Yeah, the tiny little spade.
This giant graboid with his tiny little spade.
And they're huge. You see, this is when you see one in full. They dig it out. The Rhonda turns up at the other side of the ditch and meets them, and we basically cut away and see that they've, which we mentioned, that's the seismologist. She has sensors all over the valley and realizes there must be at least another 3. And then one of them turns up, traps the poor buggers on a rock.
Yeah. So obviously we've already established Rhonda, haven't we? She already met the characters early on. And this is the thing, we're kind of supposed to think that Val is kind of just not interested. He's obviously got a certain type, and I kind of like the fact that their relationship and their attraction sort of grows as they both go through this traumatic situation together.
So it feels natural and earned as well. It doesn't feel like it was forced.
Yeah,
because you get with some films.
In some monster movies, it almost establishes these relationships first, so you're supposed to feel something when one of them gets killed, or or one of them's in peril. But with this, it's much more. Yeah, it feels earned. You're right.
You get the small moments, like she wakes up and he's put his coat around her, and then later on when he's cleaning her wounds after the barbed wire incident, and just the little looks they give each other.
Yeah, like what the look he gives her when they wake up and he realizes that she's close to him. Bless them. But essentially she explains that there's another one of them here, and that is when they get trapped overnight on this cluster of rocks near one of the worms.
And they realize that's how the other guy had dehydrated, because they don't leave. If they know you're on there, they can hear you through the boulders conduct the sound very well. So they know they're there, and they will just hang out until you've had to come off and they've got you, or you've died.
Yeah. Jesus. And then no one wins if you die. Graboids.
Yeah, you think, if you let them get away, you could perhaps eat them another time. Then obviously thinking that far ahead. They are like Earl could criticize them in the same way. There they are on Monday. He's already thinking a Wednesday. Graboid's not.
Exactly. So when they wake up in the morning, that is when they develop an idea to essentially get away, right?
Some handily positioned poles.
Positioned poles, and luckily all of the boulders are the perfect equidistant, so you could do a lovely pole vault over them, which is what they do. Rhonda leads the way.
Such a great scene, though.
It's so good. It's so well framed up. It's so nice to watch.
I love the way Fred Ward goes and falls straight back. I love Kevin Bacon's cocky little look to either side where he spits in his palms of his hands and then goes for it.
Yeah.
I love the one-upmanship of those two all the time. It's such a great little relationship.
A good relationship between them. You're right. I mean, question for you: how confident would either of you be pole vaulting across residual boulders?
Oh Jesus!
I'm pretty sure I'd have died at that point.
Already died. I give it a good go, but I reckon I would have done something like Earl did, where he kind of like went halfway and then went backwards, land on his arse. But yeah, he muddles through. That's probably what I would have done. I probably would have dropped the pole, I reckon.
Did you have a go of pole vaulting when you were at school? Then we ever got a go.
Yeah.
No.
We had with some of the track and field stuff that we had like a day when you did a bit of it, like, you know, 1 PE lesson out of entirety of high school. We had to go at high jump. And then one day we got the hurdles out.
Oh yeah.
But you only had one go at every one of those sports, and then the remainder of the 5 years, right? You've had 1 week of that. We got the trampoline out 1 week. The rest of it, you got to play cricket, football, or inside badminton. That's it.
The horse box, you can practice your gate bolt. That's it.
Just the one time of that, though. Never again.
That's because it's a lot of work to get all that shit out. It's easy to just make you play rugby, isn't it?
It's true.
Just leave it out then. Or the rope that you've got to climb all the way to the top of the ceiling in the gymnasium. You ever do that?
No. Never done it. I can
get all the way back down.
Get as high as I could jump, hold myself that high on the rope for a little while, and then get down.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't know, is it just me? I don't think anyone ever taught you anything in PE. It was just a thing that you did.
Have a go.
Yeah.
Just
have a go.
Just do this PE for a bit, will you? All right.
Yeah. All right.
Can you teach me some of the
run
techniques?
Around until you're tired.
Can you teach me some of the techniques or rules of this sport? I'm interested in the kids that already know.
Just pretend there are graboids on the floor, right?
See, that would have made PE more exciting, though. It's not like, right, we're playing graboids today. You got to leap from here to here.
That'd be so much better. Set up loads of things, increasingly difficult to reach across. Oh, that bench, that's a bit further. And we've turned this one upside down, so you've only got the narrow edge to balance across. Normalize graboids as a game in PE, but getting the agility up of new generations. Everyone would be able to just do Ninja Warrior instantly by the time they're adults if they've been doing that since they're 6.
I think we found the political platform we're going to stand on, lads.
Yeah,
there we go. Legal.
Graboids-based sports training. Imagine the Olympic Hall.
That Netflix show called Floor is Lava, which is actually a thing. If a Netflix show came out called Watch Out There Are Graboids, I'd watch that every day of the week.
It's what the Kevin Bacon pilot should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the mistake he made.
Real graboids as well, so that if people fuck up, then they do get killed.
And I think with technology now, with AR and so on, you could do so much, you know, probably cheaper to make than flooding a set with gunge that's disguised as lava.
Definitely.
Ever so wasteful. What are you doing with that? No one's drinking it.
So they managed to pole vault across all the boulders, and then they make a run for it, don't they? And this is impressive because they all jump in the truck, and Rhonda pulls away with her, drives the car just with her hands, hand on the accelerator.
It's when they've got away and they're celebrating. She's like, "Can somebody give me a hand?" Like, oh shit, yeah.
Is that when Val is that when Val knows that she must be a keeper. She can drive a car while basically legs are out of the back of the cab, reaching down, probably doing the steering wheel with her teeth. We can't see her.
Just showing off. Yeah,
I'll drive all the way. Just tell me the way to the shop. They arrive at the shop, and this is probably like we're approaching an hour into a 90-minute film here. This last half hour now is just absolute blitzkrieg because they're not at the. I mean, Melvin only manages to fuck him off once or twice before they're actually under full siege.
The shit scared out of him.
Yeah,
and losing his basketball.
So they return to the town, don't they? And the worms pretty much attack straight off the bat, coming through the floor of the store, right? How does Chang die again?
Chang dies because the Pepsi fridge goes off, which if Val and Earl had fixed it earlier when they were there instead of putting it off to do the job they were supposed to do that day, Chang wouldn't have died because it wouldn't have gone off.
No, I didn't even notice that. It's their fault.
Their whole thing about, we don't do anything. Well, we plan for the future so we don't have to do anything today. Earl explained it to me.
Oh my God. Did they even recognize that it's their fault? They don't, do they? See, ignorance. Absolute ignorance.
It's just one of those nice little details that nobody ever actually goes into. Upon repeat viewing, you sort of start to realize that if they'd have just fixed that at the beginning when he asked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really clever. I wonder if that was
it wouldn't have gone off and that wouldn't have attracted the graboids to the shop.
I mean, bearing in mind that the fridge was faulty, is that a Pepsi sponsorship, or have the good folks at Coca-Cola actually put that in? Yeah, the fridge that goes off and gets a man killed. Yeah. Make it a Pepsi fridge, would you?
Yeah.
Can pay you double. Can I have a Coke? Is Pepsi all right? No, it's not actually.
It's not actually yuck.
Yuck. Disgusting.
This lukewarm Pepsi. This is a desert, you understand.
Pepsi killed Chang. No.
Yeah. Pepsi body counts him straight away. So yeah, they get Chang, and then they knock. Everyone's climbing up on the shelves to get towards the to get up to the top,
to get onto the roof. Yeah. Rhonda's on the shelves.
Yeah, and
that whole scene is so well done.
Yeah,
so and where everybody is.
Yeah,
even like everybody else who's not in the shop, you're aware of the positions of everybody.
We have all the people there. Like you get characters like Miguel, who is just a man that lives there that's permanently at the shop. Like low-key brilliance is Miguel, and Nesta that's been absolutely aggravating everyone by basically talking about these monsters. Oh, he's so frustrated.
Gets with Nesta.
It's probably why I thought he was Melvin's dad, because he was like, "Oh well, let's see how scary this massive monster is," and I bash it with a pickaxe. Yeah. No, they're under the ground, you dickhead. And then he sits there in silence for like, a good 30 seconds.
Chainsaw.
No, just
and Kevin Bacon has that little blow up where he's like, "Look, this is the map. This is Edgar's. This is Old Fred's. This is the docks.
They're all coming."
Explain it to him, and then that's when Chang goes, "Graboids."
Yeah, so
Kevin Bacon's like,
all these guys.
Sake.
And he has like a moment. He's like, "Oh, we're going to be really." And he comes back again. Like Chang gets mentioned in the second one when they're talking about the names of the monsters. So like they ate him, and they named them the name that he chose. He's like, "Oh, you'll be sorry if you don't give them a name." And that's how his name gets to stick. Like there's a lot of love for these characters that we only ever see when they're on the screen. They have all sorts of lives that are just alluded to just enough, but we never see half of them off doing their own thing. I feel like in a film now, even we would end up spending more time with a lot of these people, which is not necessary.
Yeah, the first hour would be like seeing Mindy's mum making pottery or whatever it is she does. Yeah. Melvin's parents going off and leaving him. Nesta doing whatever Nesta does.
Putting that tire down and saying, "That tire's pretty high off the ground." I need to. You would see those things. You would see Mindy start doing her pogo stick from 1. So we would know that she's on 600 and whatever when we see her later on that she's going on. But it's very efficiently done.
I love the thing that her thing is a pogo stick, which is going to come into play later.
Yeah.
I love that little thing. It's like, she doesn't play Game Boy. She's not an artist. She's a pogo sticker.
She's a pogo sticker. And this is as this attack begins, right? Then we see her like bouncing down the bouncing down the road, and they have to run up and sort of tackle her off it, and then it gets sucked into the ground and then spat back out, and that's what begins this attack on this house, which then sees as when all the shells get pushed over, and Rhonda goes out of the window when she gets all those injuries. Now, it's in a mixture of saving Mindy and Rhonda, isn't it, that she gets tangled up in the...
Yeah, that's before the attack on the shop. So they go out to rescue Mindy because Melvin screamed, and that's when they realise that Melvin isn't taking the piss this time because he's got a cut leg and he's up the...
he's up on top of that shed looking a bit sheepish. I would have not checked on him at that point. They've been like, nah.
Then they just hear the pogo stick going.
Yeah.
They realise they got rescued. And then during the course of that, that's when Rhonda gets caught up in the barbed wire, and they eventually all make it back to the shop. And that's when he's cleaning her wounds, and then the fridge goes off, and that's what brings the rebels to the shop. And then Rhonda gets knocked out of the window, and they think she's dead, but then she's climbing up the water tower.
Up on the water tower. Has been lent some more jeans at that point, though, so she's all right. This movie had formed in the previous decade, she would have been trouserless for the remainder of that film. There's been a lot of talk. She'd have been in a thong, and
for some reason her top would have had to come off as well.
She would have been they would have chosen someone who looked like Val's ideal girlfriend. She would have just been cast if this had been a 1980s movie. Things had moved on.
Well, that's the other thing. She's not unattractive, but they do make her. They plane her up quite a bit.
Yeah.
For this, I mean, like 80s and 90s movies love doing that as well, didn't they? Like clearly an attractive person, and they've just gone, look how plain
it's not quite she's all that with the dungarees and glasses, and she's just tied her hair back.
Yeah, and they've had to go really hard. They've had to go really hard, and they've had to put like a big blob of
not unattractive, maybe unglamorous is possibly a better term.
She's grubbing about in the dirt in the desert. So
she's what a
practical
seismologist grad student would be doing and looking like, probably.
Yeah.
It's not Denise Richards in The World Is Not Enough.
It's not Christmas Jones.
Christmas Jones.
Dr. Christmas Jones, Ben.
I might always forget that.
Nuclear scientist.
Oh yeah. I believe you.
Of course you are.
Okay, and is this when they're all up on the various roofs as well, that is when they contact Bert and Heather, to kind of warn them that the worms. Well, initially, like Heather does see that everyone's like up on the roofs, isn't she? And
so they're doing up there.
What are they doing there? Something's going on. Is that just a little game they're playing? Even though they've obviously already seen. Well, they've only seen the small.
Yeah, they haven't seen the full size.
Yeah.
And then they put the bullets in. I don't understand. I'm not a guns guy. Do you know what this does? You put this in there and it shakes the bullets up to make a big din?
Yeah, ammo cleaner or something like that. I don't know, a bit like a rock cleaner, I guess. I don't know. Again, not a gun guy at all.
No. Me neither. And I didn't... Yeah, what does it do? Makes the bullets more killy.
These bullets are only 80% killy. Put them in the shaker.
Killy, these bullets. Put them in the... Yeah, sort of.
Maybe it's like a soda stream for bullets. Oh, these bullets have gone a bit flat. Put them in here or shake them up.
Fizz them up.
Like tins of pop.
I love that Kevin Bacon tells them to get on the roof, but instead of that, they start grabbing guns to make a stand.
I was stressed out by this. I was like, no, just get on the roof. What are you doing? Because they're clearly, as conspiracy theorists as well, they're clearly like, I'm not going to believe anything until. Well, yeah, it's kind of strange, isn't it? They are conspiracy theorists, but at the same time, they're like, I don't believe what you're saying until it bursts in.
To be fair, that's most conspiracy theorists, though, isn't it? If it's not a conspiracy, they have invested in.
So they're saying, what are you saying? They're under the ground. Okay, I can't see anything. It's because they're under the ground, and then they come in through the basement wall. If this was Tremors, the video game, this would be a great boss battle.
Yeah,
that we have here. They have they have a little boss fight with it. They use all the weapons. You know it's serious when people with a wall full of guns. Remember thinking this watching the film as a kid. So these are people who have all these guns and weapons, and then there's one of them that even in their house is kept behind glass.
Yeah,
the elephant gun.
The elephant gun. Yeah. Wow.
I do love when they radio back. They're like, "We killed the mother humper." I just love Kevin Bacon's thing of like, That's great, but be advised, there's still two more mother
humpers. Wow.
Just the radio conversation. That is when they do get on the roof, and like Heather is talking to Val on the radio, and then like Bert is like leaning off and like
they're still trying to shoot it through the ground.
It's like, will you stop doing that? And he goes, oh, I think I scared him.
Yeah, even the elephant gun won't go through dirt, apparently.
It's the best bullet stoppers there are. So if you're in any combat situation, cover yourself in earth.
Yeah, bury yourself.
That's it. And that's when the graboids start trying to figure out the thing. So they take out Bert's truck.
Yeah, they're popping the tires, aren't they?
They start going through the buildings. So you see them attack the shop, and then they move to Mindy's house, Mindy and Mindy's mum's house, and then they go after Nesta. Stupid fucking Nesta.
It's when they behave like this that you do. I am kind of interested in finding out a bit more about them, as like the history of the creatures and stuff. But yeah, still it sort of adds to the horror element of it, I guess, which is the fear of the unknown. Not knowing what they're capable of. One of them might fly. Who knows?
Oh well, not this one.
not in this one.
Are you serious? Is something? Is
there a
you get a whole evolutionary cycle of them in the later films, so you get ass blasters and ones that can fly.
In number 3.
In number 3, they
two, you get ass blasters.
Yeah, they're called ass blasters. That's really what they're called. Because that's how they fly out the bum.
Well, oh Jesus Christ!
They do like rock. They're like.
It sounds really stupid, and for a long time I wasn't bothered with 2 because I was like, really, ass blasters? We're doing that? Are we fine? It actually works really well, and it fits the tone of the film perfectly.
Number 2, they're like infrared velociraptors.
Yeah,
they're like little leggy ones, and they can see you with infrared.
Jesus,
it's like it feels like a natural evolution. It doesn't feel like you're being cheated into them doing it just for a gimmick of having something different.
It's really good. Yeah,
it actually feels like it works. But yeah, there's 3 stages of their life cycle.
What about shriekers? What are they?
They are
they're the ones that can fly. Yeah.
Oh no, shriekers are the infrared walkies from.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
So and then they turn into. I have not seen it recently enough to know how shriekers become ass blasters.
I think it's just the evolution of it, and then the ass blasters eventually become the Tremors worms.
Wow.
There you go. See, there's a whole life cycle.
Starts around again.
See. Okay, I was thinking the other way around, but yeah, okay, that's interesting. The more we discuss this, the more I am kind of interested to see the sequel.
Get on it.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the second one, but like a long time ago. But I've definitely
the first 4 are great. Once the Stampede guys, so the guys behind this film and everything up to the 4th one and the TV series, once they took it away from them, I think originally it was going to be a remake, and then they did it as a sequel instead with whatever the 5th one was called. I can't remember now.
Bloodlines,
that's it. Yeah, Bloodlines, Cold Day in Hell, Shrieker Island.
They got rid of the numbers for Cold Day in Hell. They went Tremors 6 now.
There's just something a bit nastier and less fun about it.
Yeah.
These films, even though people are dying, it feels like good fun. Whereas in the later films, it just feels a bit unpleasant.
Oh, I see.
And I think you do get that there is like a niceness to these films, like just the way that the comedy works out, the way that. And this is why I thought you were saying about where we are in the movie. So this is when Nesta he has found his safe space after the caravan he's on top of gets pulled over. He gets off the ground onto a big like tractor tire, but gets slurped through the middle, and we hear him underground. Even that little bit, it just adds that little seasoning of comedy to it that we hear. This man has been killed by a horrible worm that's eaten him, but the fact that we hear him underground going, whoa, like he's gone down the flume at the water park.
I suppose when you get taken ass first, it's
it's something to shout about, I guess. But you hear him underneath the ground getting eaten up, and it's Melvin's reaction here where he's like, oh, you guys got to do something. He seems upset. That's why I came away thinking, oh, that's his dad, but no.
No.
Yeah, Melvin's an oddity. The parentage of Melvin.
But then moments later, they're like, "Oh, how do we get him away from the house?" Like, "Hey, Melvin, do you want to go for a walk?" And he's like, "We just sell there and go, fucking hate that kid."
Like Saint Melvin.
I reckon if things had got like 10 minutes more desperate without another plan, they would have been like trying to throw rocks at him or something, trying to knock him off the roof.
He'd have been the first one chucked off the rocks in a little while.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the tires have been popped. They realize that the next opportunity they got, they can't stay. Even if Bert and Heather could have got away and their tires hadn't been burst, there'd have been the shop that they're all hiding on would have been slurped up underground. They'd have been killed long before they get back. So they come up with a plan to set off Chen's tractor that he had to distract the graboids, and then they will get the they will get the caterpillar, the bulldozer that they have, which we saw at the beginning when they were digging a trench for the thing. Again, nothing that said that had to have been in there. A lesser film would have just said, "Oh, we got a bulldozer," but we saw it. We know they have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all so well planned.
They do rock, scissors, paper. This is where Val loses and be like, "Oh well, I lost. I have to go." And then the guy says, "No, I choose who's going." But
whatever the outcome would have been, he was going. Val.
Yeah.
And what gives him a wins him.
Gives him a swift jab. And doesn't, I mean, in many ways, a terrible crime, not respecting the outcome of rock, scissors, paper.
Do you say rock, scissors, paper? Because I say rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I say rock, paper, scissors.
Apparently, I would have thought written down, I would have said rock, paper, scissors, but apparently that's not what I say.
Rock, scissors, paper. Wait, what do you say again? Say again.
I don't know how I've been saying it now. I might just give it rock, paper, scissors, rock, scissors, paper.
You can't go back. Rock, scissors, paper. Because even though each one has an equal chance of defeating the other one, I always think of like Rock as the best one. Rock's the best one.
Oh, Ben, you've given it away now. Now people know how to defeat you. If any listeners meet you, they'll be like, "Oh," you'll be like that when Bart and Lisa are playing. It was like, Ben, it always goes Rock, and Ben said, "Good old Rock, you never let me down.
Rock, you never let me down." And then scissors a second, and only losers go for paper, right? Because why would you?
See, that's what you do. You go for a paper. You know that's your weakness, Ben.
And if someone goes for paper, you go, "How dare you? How dare you?"
If they beat you with paper, disgraceful.
And then you get those people who absolute cards, absolute chaos, agents of chaos. When they go and throw something in there, isn't one of rock, paper, or scissors, and you go, "You're an idiot."
If someone does that when you're playing rock, scissors, paper, you can kick them in the crotch. That's what the law states, actually.
Immediately lose, I think, with that. "Oh, I've done fire. Oh, I've done dynamite." You're an idiot.
Yeah,
you don't respect the rules.
You know, especially Steve, you've been watching some classic James Bond. You can just flatten your hand. Maybe if it's been paper, and just karate chop them in the neck.
Yeah. So you do a proper Roger Moore 70s karate chop.
That's absolutely fair.
If someone's done it, and if you've got scissors and they've done damage, you can poke them in the eyes.
Yeah.
And if it's rock, punch. You
can
just assault them with whatever you have if they've done something which is not one of the established three.
Them's the rules.
But yeah, Val disrespects in a different way. He doesn't do nuclear bomb or anything like that. He just pretends that he's being a good sport, thumps Earl, and then legs it almost to the trailer. But then the graboids catch up with him. And again, moment that I'll always remember, doing that bit where he stands still and they're coming, and then he's like lifting up a leg to try and avoid them finding him.
The way the tentacle just suddenly swoops back round and he has to quickly lift his leg. And
it's nothing like
little tense scene. It doesn't go on too long either, so it's
it's very tense.
It's that perfect length before you're like, yeah, right, this is getting silly now.
Yeah, he's not like dancing and like doing a handstand. It's not quite that bad.
Nothing like Dune either, where you just have to do a funny little weird avant-garde, like weird capoeira walk. That's very silly.
Is that how you trick them?
That's how you trick them. They go, "I don't know where he is."
No, but then he's saved by, is it Rhonda kicks the drain pipe off the water?
Yeah, she starts emptying the water tower.
Yeah, because they say we need to cause a distraction.
So they're all shouting abuse at them at first, aren't they?
Yeah.
My mother was a saint.
I do love that people keep asking Rhonda questions about it because she's a scientist.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's like, how do they do this? How do they know we're here? It's like, why are you all asking? Yeah, it's good. I also feel like it's very well addressed to audiences. Like you can imagine watching this as someone and someone saying, "Oh, what? How were they supposed to know?" And she's done what you might do as you were talking to them. Why are you asking me?
Because I mean, with the exception of Rhonda, all the characters are idiots. They're lovable idiots, but they're all idiots. Even Bert and Heather are idiots.
But yeah, they get the cat up. They get the cat. They manage to attach like an old truck to it, and they victoriously they're driving out. They go and pick up Bert and Heather. And they take a frustrating line. You could see they were coming in that bulldozer for ages. You could have been ready to go.
When they're picking which guns to take. It's like, what do you reckon? This one or this one? It's like, well, this one's got great penetration.
I'd take this, less ammo to carry.
I love the bit of score in that as well. Just that heroic music.
Yes. Score underrated, I would say the score is in this. Not by us, we love it. But it comes as a surprise to me. You don't see it maybe listed in some of the
I think because it wasn't available for so long. Like as a standalone CD release. It's just the other thing with Tremors is there's very little merchandise to go with it beyond the films. You know, you think it'd be set up for like Funko Pops, action figures, graboid monsters.
What am I not seeing? Like what are the Ben? You've got a teenager. What are the things called now that are like plushy things that you can get?
Squishmallows.
Squishmallows. I knew you'd know that. Where is my graboid Squishmallow? Please.
On one of the Tremors groups I'm on, there was for a while a graboid's willy warmer. So you could turn your knob into a graboid.
Imagine doing
Obviously
that.
not officially licensed.
Not licensed property.
What, I mean, are people wearing this just for a laugh? Are they using it in some sort of intimate situation?
I'm not going to kink shame anybody, you know.
Willie, I love that.
It's that age-old thing of, you know, anything you invent, at some point somebody will find a way to make pornography on it. But it's kind of the same thing of people being like, anything remotely phallic, they're going to make it so you can put it on your dick.
I mean, from a practical effects point of view, if you were doing like a Lego version of that and you had a sandpit.
Right, if Andy ever asks you if you want to watch his low-budget remake of Tremors, say no.
Willy Warmer. What was? Sorry, I'm going to ask you loads of questions about the Willy Warmer now. Sorry, Stu.
You're wrong.
What was the general response from the Facebook group to the Willy Warmer? Were people happy about it? Were they?
I think it got a lot of love. I think it was like a knitted thing, but it was like a few years ago.
You guys do realize that now you've said this within earshot of your phones or smart speakers in your house. We're all getting recommended this from like Wish.
I just ordered a box of them from Amazon by mistake.
A box of them. Well, if you've got
are they single use?
if you've got a box of them, we got to do some sort of giveaway.
You never know when you need Secret Santa or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, if you do, if you've got a box, as Ben says, we'll do it. We'll do a giveaway. Retweet the link to this episode. We'll pick someone. 5 lucky winners.
5 lucky winners. 5 lucky winners.
I've never ever been
like, branded.
This part of me is a bit chilly. Just this part. Nothing else. And this needs. Just put a pair of trousers on there, will you? No.
Oh, in this economy, Ben.
My legs are really hot, but this bit's really cold.
Yeah. Well, what have you been doing? Don't ask. That is. I feel like I need to Google it. I'm gonna Google it. Screw it. Well, is it officially called a Willy Warmer?
I mean, that might be a local terminology for it.
I mean, I think it's got a good alliterative. I guess you could also call it a cock cozy. That'd work. Also alliterative.
It looks like on Etsy there's a huge selection. I can't see a Tremors one.
Are there any Tremors ones?
But my God, I've never seen anything like. Oh my Jesus Christ!
Like I say, this was a few years ago, so it's quite possible Universal shut them down by now.
I found it. I think. Wait, no. Oh, I think this might just be a crocheted version of one. It's not necessarily a Willy Warmer. Still, it's great, and it feels like you could use it.
I think the one was crocheted, so. They're probably not selling them as willy warmers, but
I can't think of anything else that would be more warm. To be fair, so
I don't know what else you do with it. It's too small to be a hand puppet. So.
There's a snake one you can get here. There's a crocodile one.
Andy's just looking at his
glad I derailed this episode.
Andy's just looking at his recently viewed items. That's all he's doing. He didn't even have to open a new tab.
Oh, there's a Minions one as well. So not all licensed ones have been shut down.
That's one step too far. That is a Minions one. No, absolutely not. No, couldn't take anything. As if I need to make a laughing stock of my genitals anymore. As if I need to. I'm joking. I'm not.
I mean, would Charlie find your genitals more or less amusing if they were dressed as a minion?
I reckon it's on a par. I reckon it's just like couldn't get any worse. I'm joking, of course. Maybe. Right, Willy Warmer. What happens next?
I'm not sure. I remember. No, they
eventually get Bert and Heather onto the cat.
Yeah. Bert decides if he's going to bring his crocodile or his snake Willy Warmer, and they get on there. They're driving along, and then victoriously they're seeing the remaining graboids. They're like puffs of smoke in the distance. They're like, ha, sucked in graboids. It is not them, the graboids that have been sucked in. It's them, and they've dug a trench that the bulldozer falls into just before they get to solid rock. And they have to basically make a run for some rocks. They throw a bomb. They throw the first bomb at this point to try and get them away, and then they run across with guns.
Well, initially they doesn't Bert sort of say, "This is what I'm going to do. If we get stuck here, I'm going to just walk out there."
No, that's when they're on the rock.
That's when they get trapped
in the trailer.
Okay, I've got you.
He throws one, it makes them run away, and then Rhonda says if they throw it in the direction they want to run, it'll send them in the opposite direction, which will give them time. And they give Melvin the gun so that it will make him go.
Yeah, and then he runs across, and then idiot Melvin goes to like just blast the gun away at the graboids as they run across, realizes it's empty, and then Bert on the other side says, "I wouldn't give you a gun if it was World War III."
I do love when he gives the gun back to Bert. Bert checks it is, even though he knows it's empty, he just double checks it's empty before he puts it in his trousers. It's a lovely little bit of gun safety.
That is great. Old Michael Gross. Is he in? Did we see Michael Gross in anything aside from Tremors? I mean, obviously, he's
Family Ties was his big
career.
Thing.
No, I don't know Family Ties.
Yeah, see, it didn't really have a show over here, but that was what he was. He was like America's dad.
Was he?
He was like a very.
Oh, wow,
I think his character in Family Ties was like a very Democrat, liberal dad. So this is like the polar opposite character.
171 episodes he was in of that. Wow.
And he pops up in guest spots.
He was in the Outer Limits, Andy.
Oh, I think I might have seen the one that's got him in it already. I've been watching some of the Outer Limits. If I haven't seen it, I'll have to look out for him when I get to that one.
Amazing. Yeah. So what's up next?
So this is when you say, Ben, they're there at the rocks and they think, what are we going to do? We haven't got enough bombs to make it all the way to town.
So there's a bit of infighting between them, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Where it's like, don't goddamn push me!
We could have stayed. We could have made a stand. Like we were Richie goddamn Hosea from beneath you.
So he talks about basically he's not going to die of starvation. Bert says he's going to go out there with one of those bombs and let them take me. And at first it's like they're still being dicks to each other. And it's like, that's not a bad idea. No. I mean the bomb idea. And they go and do some fishing. So they use one of the bombs. They throw it out on a piece of string. It gets slurped down by one of the graboids and it explodes. And a great comedy moment, right? So they've not only had a win and they're celebrating that the monster's been blown up, but then they all get showered in monster guts.
Yeah.
I love the bit before. He's like, what have you got this fuse for? It's like, oh, it's my cannon fuse. It's like, what do you use it for? It's like, my cannon. Just the throwaway nature that Bert's got a cannon.
He has a cannon in the house. That's great.
Where did he bring that?
Yeah, that could have got the ground penetrated. Imagine if he just pointed it at the wall of his of the bunker when they'd come in. They could have made a stand then with Bert. But they're down to, they've got rid of one. the only graboid that is left is the one that is missing a snake tongue that had
Stumpy.
Yeah, old Stumpy that had that lost a snake to their axle of their car at the start of the film. They throw a bomb, but Stumpy has learned and he gobs the bomb out into
with perfect aim.
Yeah, so good. Check the wind and everything. Lobs it into their box of bombs, and then they're all pretty much some of the others have just gone one way, they all get back in, but Val, Earl, and Rhonda are just out in the middle of
to the point where even Bert's
like, what
are you doing all the way out there?
Yeah, they're out there, and then between them they have they're out there and they throw the bomb, let's go, but then Val has an idea.
He has a plan. He's got a goddamn plan.
Yeah, he goes sprinting off. Then he realizes that Earl goes with him. What are you doing? Where's the lighter? Rhonda's on there. She has it. So somehow they've all got it mixed up. They've all got different things between them. They get the bomb. Val throws it, leaves it a little bit late. Everyone's getting a bit uncomfortable, but he throws it back at the cliff, as Stu mentioned at the top, the very cliff that he pissed off at the very beginning. Throws it behind the graboid, which Ron had shared earlier. It's not that they run because they're afraid of it, because they're so sensitive to sound it hurts them, they have to run. It charges forward massively, comes out of the ground and goes flying into oblivion, and we get a really satisfying monster splat.
Big old monster splat, yeah. This was
one of the nice gore details as well, like his innards. Yeah. The little see-through sacks and
They did such a good job of building it. Like, I feel like
if ever people are like, oh, practical effects aren't great, it's like, look at Tremors. There's no CGI in that film at all.
100%.
And I just looked at this while we were going through it. You know how much money Tremors was made for?
Oh, it was nothing, was it? It was like low end, like 15 million, something like that.
Even less, 10 million, which is more money than I'll ever see. But yeah, that's incredible. For a 90s movie, there were films that were far more expensive than this by this time.
Another thing that was worth mentioning as well, that I've completely forgot about until now, was the way they talk about the graboids stinking as well.
Yeah,
was really good, because it really did, like, that sort of dry. I could just imagine being there in this horrible dry desert scenario and sort of smelling the disgusting graboids as well, especially when they blow up.
What do you reckon the graboid smells like? Back of a cinema?
I reckon it smells like egg.
Yeah, a bit eggy.
Back of a cinema.
Don't know if you've ever had cause to walk around the back of a cinema. Absolutely stinks.
What, just like a horrible popcorn?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it was just the cinema that was used to be on our way to walk in Tamworth.
I'd just be like, avoid this little way to walk. Then
it's the way.
It's the way. You got to get over the stench. You know, that's how it goes. I reckon a bit eggy, a bit like sulfur, egg, and then guts, blood and guts.
Egg and guts.
Egg and guts. Oh, I recognise that. Egg and guts takes me back to Tremors. Wonderful movie.
But stinks.
But stinks, and that's it. They win.
We have a little closing scene where the next day, Val is now dressed in an entirely white cowboy suit. Okay, let's go like now.
Virgin. He looks like a born again Christian.
Yeah, the Milky Bar
Madonna video.
Yeah,
yeah.
There
we go.
So yeah, it looks like he's gone a bit shy and he's not going to do it. But then he does go to speak to Rhonda and they kiss. And in many ways, as much as I would have loved to have seen these guys again, it's kind of a nice ending for them.
Originally, it didn't end that way. Originally, it ended with them driving off, and then
oh no,
Val realizes they haven't got the lighter, and that's his excuse to go back to Rhonda.
Okay.
Because if you look, anything that's shot at that end where you can't see the town in the background was shot about 6 months later. So Kevin Bacon's got a wig on under the hat. So his hair's slightly differently, because apparently the test audiences were like, they didn't kiss.
Okay.
It's like they should have kissed.
Well, he needs Earl to kind of urge him to do it as well, doesn't he? He kind of goes to walk away.
I'm building up on it.
I do like how he grabs all his photos, trying to casually just chuck them away.
Screw
them up and then just lobs them in the truck.
Yeah, and that's it. Happy
That's it. You get a Reba McEntire song and
is it
Fade to Black? Yeah,
it's really good.
Do you reckon that was in her contract?
I don't know, but I suppose if you're doing a country thing and you've got Reba McEntire in your film, you get her to sing a song.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know this. I've gone all these years never knowing that, that Heather herself was on the apparently she's been dubbed the Queen of Country is her title.
There we go. Nice one. That's the end. Lovely happy ending. Andy, do we have any name game, and do we need to explain the format of name game to Stu?
I've got 3 entries for name game.
I've got some name game as well. So basically, Stu, if you're not familiar, but also for regular listeners, just a recap, a refresh is always good. We will explain the synopsis of a movie which sounds something like Tremors, but isn't Tremors. So based on our synopsis, you have to work out what the name of the film is. It will sound like Tremors, rhyme with Tremors, essentially. Sometimes
rhyme is a strong word.
Rhyme is a strong word, yeah. Sometimes it gets very, very ridiculous. But I'm usually on the receiving end of it, so I've got some as well today. So,
okay.
What are you saying, Andy?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Have you got the little synopsis for us, Ben? If you could read it out, that we'll go from there.
Yes, of course. So, natives of a small, isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures.
Okay. In this film, natives of an isolated rural town defend themselves from large men in formal wear, ever so good at singing. Pavarotti and his mates turn up in town.
Tenors,
correct.
Very nice. I mean, that would be pretty scary if they just emerge from the.
They can do a note
from the ground. What?
They can do a note for ages. Then get in your house, smash your whole house down once they'd learned.
Yeah. Okay. I've got one for you. Natives of a small, isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures who are also reality TV stars named Chris and Kylie.
Jenners,
yeah.
Jenners, correct.
Which may be the most horrific film I've ever heard of.
Just imagine just emerging from the. Let's get it made.
Yeah, Stu's like, no, without the Kardashian clan, it's just not the same. That's the half of the family I'm least interested in. Thank you. I also had Jenners because there's not really things that rhyme with Tremors, but I've got one more for you.
Okay.
Natives of a small town are really forced to defend themselves from a series of inflamed blood vessels in their anuses, but they refer to them quite casually. They come up with a nickname for them.
Blood vessels in their
Yeah, they rupture blood vessels in their anuses, but to get over the trauma, they come up with kind of informal nicknames for them.
Am I supposed to know what this is? Is it like a? Is anus definitely key to this?
Yeah. Absolutely essential.
That's an audio clip to isolate and cut out.
Our anus is definitely essential. They're pretty essential to everything. Yeah, we've all got them. Even these graboids have got them, all right? To be fair, in the picture on the Wikipedia of the graboids, it does have it does show you where the anus is of the graboid.
But in this case, the members of the town, they've not been getting enough fibre. They've had to strain too hard, and they've really inflamed themselves down there.
I mean, all I can think of is hemorrhoids.
And if you were being quite informal, hemmers, correct.
Mother of God. Oh, sorry, doctor. I've got a really bad case of the hemmers down there.
The hemmers.
Weirdly, Jenners is still the most disturbing sound in one of those 3 pictures.
Exactly. Okay.
Any more, Ben?
Well, I had tenors as well, but mine was the tenors as in money. So I'm not going to do that.
Someone they open their birthday cards.
open a birthday card and they have to pretend that they don't realize the money falls onto their lap. Oh, what's that? 10 quid, Jesus. Okay, this is a different one. Natives of a small isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures, but they are helped by a Jewish prince who managed to help them escape on a chariot of fire.
I mean, maybe I don't know very many Jewish princes.
I didn't know he was a Jewish prince either, to be fair, until I googled it. I'm really reaching with this one as well, by the way. Chariot of how does the tune go?
That's the that's Chariots of Fire, right?
That's it, exactly. What film's that from?
Isn't it from Chariots of Fire?
With what's his name? What's his name in it?
Come
on!
No.
is the film called Chariots of Fire? Because if it is, then I've completely.
Oh. Isn't it called Chariots of Fire? That film.
Forget the Chariots of Fire bit. Just on a chariot. Famous religious epic movie with some chariots.
So Ben-Hur.
Charlton Heston. That's it. Ben-Hur, also known as. Stick those words together.
Ben-Hur's.
That's it.
Right.
I told you I was reaching.
Right, I managed to come up with one more off the top of the dome, Ben. So, the natives of a small town are forced to defend themselves from a series of collectible, mostly Star Wars toys, little figures. Kenners, correct.
Nice. Should we call it a day there?
Because I reckon that's time.
I feel like Kenners. On Kenners, we've peaked. Well, the peak was low, but still we got there. There we go. So that is Tremors. Next thing we got to do now is just rate the movie from A to F. Stu, you already said it was a 5-star masterpiece. So where are you going to sit on?
Well, I'm assuming A's high and F's low.
Yes.
So I mean, it's an A++.
Oh,
it's pretty much within its genre. It is a perfect movie. It's a perfect creature feature.
Has anyone ever given an A++, Andy? Is that making a mockery of the?
Well, all right, I'll go A.
System?
If A is the very top,
you can do an A+.
I wasn't trying to talk you down.
I've not configured the spreadsheet for an A++.
Well, I didn't know A++ was a thing until we had my kids, my latest child parents evening the other day, and you could be on a course for an A++. It's like that's a fucking thing.
They just invented an A++. I would have thought that, especially.
I know, it feels a little bit like we need to go a little bit higher. It's got too easy. I would have thought are they going to do? I thought they would have gone like a video game route, and if you've got past an A+, it becomes an S rank.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it shines gold. They have to use a gold pen to write it. But A++, I have to rethink the entire scoring system. But either way, maximum marks for Tremors.
It's an amazing creature. You watch this and Deep Rising together. It's perfect double bill as well.
Deep
Rising is like Tremors on the sea, but.
We have covered Deep Rising on the show as well. And I think for some reason, I recently looked back at what episode that was. Because I think it maybe celebrated a birthday recently, didn't it? Episode 87 of the show, we covered Deep Rising.
Nice.
It's weird that we covered Deep Rising so long ago and we've only just got around to Tremors, but there you go. Andy, where do you sit?
I'm also in A territory for Tremors. You know what? I'm going to join still on an A+, because you're right, for the genre that it's in. I bloody love Tremors, and I've got such fond memories of it. The practical effects have actually dated fantastically. I like the comedy of it. It's a movie that I'm always going to want to watch. I think Stu nailed it. Like, if I put the TV on, it's up there with films that it wouldn't matter where in the movie it was on. It's like, I'm going to watch the end. I'm going to watch this through to the end now. Like, if you ever catch Jurassic Park on telly, it's up there. It's so good, and I have such fond memories. I think I was the exact right age for this. So in 1990, I would have been turning 7. So by that, give it a couple of years, I'm like 7, 8 years old by the time I'm catching this on VHS. It was so much fun to watch. So many of my mom's cushions crushed and stomped on. So many like almost head injuries from like falling off tables, especially when it's like, can I get all the way upstairs without, and you're sort of on the, the edges of the steps, trying to like wheedle your way up the stairs. It's a dangerous game.
Did you pretend it had you as well and like almost get dragged down?
No, I think as a kid, you don't want to lose a game, especially not one of your own making. So it's like, oh, I got off just in time.
If you've never gotten a sleeping bag, pretending the graboid's got you.
Wow. Wow, you guys are absolutely loving this film. I'm gonna go for, again, it's one of those where after chatting through it with you guys, it's made me appreciate it a lot more. But I'm gonna go for a B plus. I mean, I could go for it.
I mean, Ben's kind of dead inside, isn't he?
Yeah.
I've been dead inside for a long time, Stu. And I don't wish to talk about it any further because it brings up a lot of bad memories.
He's grown up with that willy warmer in his life, and now.
If I had a willy warmer, I'd be much happier. Okay, my willy would be warm, and
he's got a classic case of crotch coldness there, and that's why he's lukewarm on this one.
It's actually burning right now. Maybe I should get that scene too. B plus, maybe peer pressure is making me want to go A minus a little bit. I'm just going based on like what I've ranked it on like Letterboxd after.
You can edit those, right?
Times. Nah, I can't.
Never too late to change your mind.
It's locked in.
B's fair. I mean, as a film, it's not perfect, but as a film in its genre, it's.
I think, yeah, I completely agree with that. As a film, and it's made me appreciate a lot of the writing's really good. The characters are great. The effects are great. It's genuinely quite tense, and as I said, there are moments of like joy. It's joyous, especially that pole vault scene. It's awesome. I'm just thinking about where it sits alongside like other films in the genre, and it is right up there, isn't it? So, but in terms of like the horror genre, I'm just going to stick with a B plus.
Yeah, it probably fits more in with like the 50s creature features kind of thing. It's very much got that 50s vibe, but with a late 80s, 90s kind of feel to it. It's 100%. One of those films, if you're around somebody's house and they're like, do you want to watch Tremors? And you say no, it's like, it's not worth living anymore.
They go, what's that, Ben? B plus, get out.
I'm just going to go to bed then, let yourself out.
I mean, as a film in itself, it's like a perfect 3-star movie. But I mean, you've got that thing of, like you say, the nostalgia. I caught it at the perfect age. I think if you catch it between like the ages of 8 and 13, you're in that perfect wheelhouse for that. You'll always have a fond memory of it.
See, that's it for me. Like, you're right. Like, all films in the universe, it probably is like a 3-star movie. But I've come to a decision recently that I now rate films based on how much I enjoyed them versus how good they are.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like, let's take it. Absolute masterpieces of cinema, like thinking of things that won Oscars, top of my head, things like Gladiator. Really good film. Ain't ever going to watch it again.
That's like 2001. Great film, but it's not one I'm going to chuck on to kill a couple of hours or something and unwind. Tremors, on the other hand.
Exactly. watch it anytime it comes up. Like, I know I'm always going to watch that movie and it will be a lovely time. Arguably, I would much rather watch Chopping Mall than The Godfather. It goes on a little bit for me. Chopping Mall's got some robots.
You're never going to say, I just really fancy watching Schindler's List.
Yeah.
I just had a day. And
I'm really in the mood. I just want to kick back, relax, and watch Schindler's List. All right, don't judge me.
I mean, there possibly is some people that would, that is their feel-good movie, but
weirdos.
The less said about those kind of people, the better.
Schindler's ancestors. I wonder what Uncle Schindler was up to. Let's look for him for some inspiration.
Right, there we go. Then that's Tremors. Stu, where can our listeners find? More from you and your show online. And
you can find And Why Not if you just search And Why Not Pod on all the social medias. It should come up on there. We've got a Facebook group. We're on Twitter, Instagram. I believe we've got a TikTok now as well, which my eldest child mostly does stuff for. I think there's like 2 videos on there. Nice. Yeah, and you can find the podcast by just searching And Why Not Film Pod. It should come up. It should come up as And Why Not, but it's also a fairly generic title, which I realised this far into it. But yeah, if you search And Why Not, or then put like Tremors or something on the end, we'll
put the links to the show in the show notes as well, so people can find it easily.
I've just got to see off all the other And Why Not podcasts, and then once they've all been eliminated, Highlander style, you haven't got to.
I think we might be the only And Why Not, but a lot of the search engines pick up any variation of
Why Not,
those 3 words, and then bury us ass deep in it sometimes.
There we go.
But
Okay.
we're gradually building up the list, so we are getting
Nice.
further to the top. So should come up now. So.
Nice one. Well, thanks for joining us, Stu. It's been fun.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. Thanks everybody else for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons, including John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Laura Kendrick, Toby Miller, Lane Spencer, Ollie Child, Leslie Carlo, Julia Bilgren, Nick Spill, Troy Birch, Pazuzu, and Rosalind Harnias. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. We're on all the social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, so follow us on there, Horror Hangout Podcast. Next week, we'll be covering Howling 2 with returning guest Janine Pipe. Looking forward to that. But for now, thanks to Stu and Andy for being right horror dudes.
Thanks, Ben. You too. Thanks to all the right horror dudes out there. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't let a graboid get you.
Yeah. Please walk on your furniture on the way up to bed shortly.
See you later.
Bye.